79th and Halas, what it is, what it do. Since Bobby Yagam, Curtis Ennis, know that we been loyal even when we wasn't winning. A trusted source for the news.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of 79th and Halas. It has been a long couple weeks.
A long week. It's been one of the wildest sports days in recent history.
Yeah, baseball's back. Khalil Mack's gone. So God giveth and God taketh away. Like you're
Baseball's
happy
back.
You get to see your White Sox, and then you realize that Khalil Mack is gone,
and who knows what's going to happen to Ben Simmons in Philly tonight.
Ben Simmons is going to need the National Guard to get him out of there.
It's a wild couple days in the NFL, period. Russell Wilson going to Denver. Rodgers coming back, but then we hear today that we don't know if it's
inmate from Houston, probably going to have all his cases settled tomorrow.
And then we also with Rodgers, the new news today on Rich Eisen, they don't know if it's even more than 1 year. So that's why it's a new ripple, because that's why the contract ain't been announced yet. So there's a lot of shit going on, man. Do we have any voicemails today?
Yeah, we got quite a few actually. But
we don't have a rundown today. We just going.
Do you want to just, like I said, so we're just flowing right now. Do you want us to do the voicemails and express our opinion, or
our thoughts are first, man? Can I go first?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go first since I text you news. I'm sitting here in my apartment getting ready for record a third pitch. This is one of 3 pods that we're down doing today. So if any of you want to question my my working habit, I got 3 pods today. But anyway, so I'm sitting here talking with the homie Mikey and Dante about our new White Sox podcast is dropping. He gone, which we dropping all 3 of us. And we're throwing ideas around. And then literally, as I open up the Twitter app and I see Adam Schefter says that Chicago Bears are finalizing a deal to send Khalil Mack to the Los Angeles Chargers, my heart stopped. Like literally as it happened, Mikey sent a text like, "Oh, you get one of them over the top of the screen and it says Khalil to the Chargers." So I'm like, it was like, oh, what the fuck? Like one of those initial type moments. And it's like, then I was waiting for what are we getting back? But even before I saw the over, I knew we was getting a massive haul back. I was like, there's no way that Poles in his first official move wasn't going to trade Khalil without a good fault for a good haul. For everybody who won the first rounder, he's not a quarterback. I'm sorry. He's not a quarterback, and he ain't been healthy for 2 years.
That's the one thing why I disagree with people who said that if you were expecting it, you're delusional. I don't think so at all.
You weren't getting the first rounder for a non-quarterback, especially a non-quarterback who's been hurt the last 2 years. That just wasn't going to happen. It's just not going to happen at all. And so for us to get a second rounder, it means we got 2 second rounders this year and a 6th rounder for next year. I'm good with it. I'm going to put it like this. I understand it. Am I going to sit up here and say I'm happy? Of course not. Like, I love Khalil Mack. He's one of my favorite Bears players of all time. We've been up here. How many times this season we've said, I don't want to trade Khalil over and over and over again. It's like, I didn't want him to get traded. It's like, It's bittersweet. I get it. You got to think about the long game. I understand what Poles is doing. And for everybody who wanted a new leaf to be turned in the organization, obviously he felt this is not a 1 or 2 year makeover. So what's the point of Khalil just eating up cap space and getting, even if he got 8, 9, 10 sacks a game and we like 7 and 10? So I understand it from that perspective, but I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm quote unquote happy because I'm going to watch Khalil Mack in the Bears uniform.
Oh yeah, I think it's indicative of the terrible job that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy did.
100%.
That he felt the need that no, we can't keep this dude on our team. He's 31 years old. That being said, I think pass rushers tend to have a longer career than your average player. I mean, your average running back by 32 is probably cooked. Only people who really go that long are QBs, some wide receivers, defensive linemen. I think edge rushers tend to have a pretty solid shelf life. But he felt that this was too much to keep. Now, a lot of you all did not agree that the Bears would get back a first-round pick because he's not a quarterback. But it wouldn't be the first time that a defensive player brought back that. Now, if you would have traded Khalil Mack after the first year that he signed him, I'm pretty sure the Bears would have got a first-round pick back. But looking at his age, I can understand why they didn't. They got
I think it's more the fact he ain't been healthy more than his age. If he had been healthy the last 2 years and been putting up 10 sacks a season, I think first round would have been a little bit more reasonable. But I just know that even when I saw the interest rate first round, it never crossed my mind.
Yeah, and then you have to have the fact that somebody like Robert Quinn, who comes in the second year, breaks Richard Dent's record, it kind of reflects poorly on Khalil Mack in the seasons that he was not hurt and did not get those records. Now, of course, you'll say, well, Khalil Mack had all the defense focus. Very, very true. But at the same time, Robert Quinn had the defense focus on him when Khalil Mack was gone. Now, am I saying go on to Robert Quinn? No, he's old too. The Bears have to get younger, and the Bears have to trade with all those people. I'm sure Robert Quinn will probably still be here next season. But if they found a suitor for him, I wouldn't be shocked if they.
I wouldn't be shocked if Robert Quinn and Eddie Goldman are next on the chopping block.
But I think this is just the realization that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy just did not do a good job. And more importantly, Bears fans who are grieving right now, who are sad right now, I feel it too. I'm not happy that Khalil Mack is gone.
I'm not happy. I'm kind of sad.
I wanted Khalil Mack to retire a Bear. Yeah. It's a staple for me and Scott. After we have finished covering games, so Scott, it's hours later after the game. We're done with post-game interviews. We're doing our on-field stuff. We're done with all that. We're walking out of Soldier Field. Now, remember, when we walk straight down the main area and we see a little cart, it's a cart right there that has the Bears gear. Whose face is on that?
Khalil.
It's Khalil. And Scott would always say, man, I can't wait till Justin's face is on that. And before last year, when Justin wasn't there, I was like, I can't wait till the Bears get a quarterback and it's a quarterback's face on that. And so we had the fact Khalil was the face of the franchise for his entire time here. And I thought he had great years here. It's just these last 2 seasons, he could not stay healthy. And so at this point, you're just kind of wasting money on him. That being said, I think it's a trade that shows they respect Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
Because you're sending him to a team good team that needs another edge rusher. You're going
AFC West.
Bloodbath.
That is
is special.
And look, I know Derek Carr is the weak link in that 4 quarterback horse, but he's not a bad quarterback, bro.
No,
Derek Carr, he's just not Russ, Herbert, and Pat.
He's just not that guy.
Yeah, but nigga, Bosa coming off one edge, Khalil on the other. If he's healthy,
that's nasty. And
Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack in the same stadium was kind of cool too. But.
Yeah, so. I'm glad they sent him to. It shows they respect him, and the Chargers are willing to pay that hard because the Chargers are in win now mode.
Yeah.
Now you have a QB, so even if the players get old, you can always retool around him.
But see, I'm glad you brought that point up for people who I saw, and I'm not gonna name the media person's name, but he was like typical Bears thing. You traded for him. Ryan Pace traded for him, whether right or wrong, because he felt that we have a young quarterback, so we need to jump on this right now. So you can't say typical Bears when this is 2 different regimes. You know what I'm saying? Poles obviously took this he's been on a job for about 2 months now. So obviously for about the last 60 days, Poles look at this roster was like, we got to trim the fat off this motherfucker. And he's just like, we gotta get picks. We only have 5 fucking picks because
I'm trying to see this person you're talking about. I feel like I know who you're talking about.
I don't even. I know the name, but I'm not gonna say.
Do we know them?
We don't know them, but
we haven't seen them at Soldier Field.
He doesn't be in games, but I don't want to shit on people. But
okay,
yes, that's Brand Scott talking. I'll put it in. I'll text you his name. But when you talk about picks, like Les Snead is when fuck them picks goes right. Ryan Pace is when fuck them picks goes wrong. So now that mess has been made. We all knew there was going to be some casualties this offseason. And how we just said, I can't wait for Justin to be on there. Justin is officially the king. He's officially the king. What's the nigga off CNN who always be crying all the time? Is it Van Jones?
Van Jones.
He's today he just became the president. Today Justin Fields just became the franchise.
Yeah,
that's basically what today was.
Yeah. No, this is exactly what it is. This is the time that, all eyes on Justin. You don't have the rookie card over you. Khalil Mack's not on that team anymore to deflect. You are that guy, and you're going to have to show up. But, with Bears fans, look at the biggest picture. That's hilarious. I'm not shocked that he says that. But he ain't been – he comes to Soldier Field every blue moon. But I'm not shocked that he said that. We're not going to tell you who it is because brand. But now – you have to understand that this team, the championship window is gone. Now, bear in mind, Justin becomes that guy, the championship window never closes.
Yeah.
Even with the Packers, we talk so much crap about the Packers, and I'm going to continue to talk crap about the Packers. But as long as Aaron Rodgers is playing up to par, the championship window never goes away. It's the same with the Chiefs. It's the same with the Chargers. Now it's going to be similar with Denver. You got about 4 years left for Russ. Championship window is open. Pour all your stuff in there. And so a quarterback can bring that. But since Justin is coming off his rookie season, now there is no championship window. Now you have to find who are the people that you're going to build with. And there are remnants of the Ryan Pace era still on this Bears team. Even though Ryan Pace, he didn't draft Eddie Jackson, did he? Or he did draft Eddie Jackson?
He drafted Eddie Jackson.
So you have Eddie Jackson, you got Eddie Goldman, you have Robert Quinn, you have Khalil Mack, you have all these people, and I won't be surprised if they're all gone. I just tweeted a picture of Drewski looking through lights like this, laughing because I want to let Eddie Jackson know you're next, you're gone. You know what I'm saying? And we saw the effect of Eddie Jackson not being on the field. Yeah. Eddie Jackson deserves a second and a third if you're going to trade for him.
Oh, 100%. And he's younger. He's been healthy. At Bojack, outside in this year, he don't miss games.
No. And so right now it's the time the Bears need to have like 10 draft picks. They're missing out on a lot because they had to take it for Justin. You deal with that. But right now, I think it's a good time to try and get yourself back in the first round. And trading those people, I'm pretty sure Ryan Poles knows what it's like to deal with teams, especially as having been a director of scouting, having been under the Andy Reid rebuilding of the Chiefs to become the championship team they were and the championship contender that they are now. You gotta trim the fat. You gotta trim the fat off. And unfortunately, these big fat contracts that you thought were good because the Bears are in the championship window. Now, bear in mind, in 2018, these were fine contracts because it did look like a championship window was opening up. Yeah. And if the Bears Cody Parkey didn't miss that kick, I think they would have made it to the NFC Championship. Won? No. But they would have made it to the NFC.
We wouldn't have won in the dome, but
they would have made it to the NFC Championship. And you would have thought, man, those were good trades.
And honestly, even if they just make it to the NFC Championship again, that changes the trajectory of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So that does, but this is just I remember one of our biggest podcasts previously was when Derrick Rose got traded. And we were like, oh my God. Now, of course, we were right to do that because Garpax didn't know what they were doing. There was no true plan in place. They were just trading to trade. And we sat here. Was it me and Pierce?
It was me, you, and Pierce. Yes,
we just yelled basically for an hour about how this is crap. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way.
It's a somber feeling, man.
It's a somber.
You know what it's like? I'm gonna give you a comparison.
I want to sit over the 2018 Bears and go, "En nomine Patri, et Filio de Spiriti Sancti."
I'm gonna give you a personal comparison. I feel the same way I did when I moved from Chicago to LA. Yeah. It's like it's necessary career move. I have to do it, but I didn't want to leave. Huh?
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to leave my friends and family. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, but you get over it. Now I'm over it.
I know. I saw the group chat, nigga. Last time I got to spend in my mother's house to better. Coward, nigga.
So let's get into these voicemails, man. Let's see the streets are saying.
We have, and I'm proud of y'all. You all hit us with 5 voicemails.
Yeah, y'all actually left some voicemails.
How many? Hit us 5 voicemails.
Okay.
Somebody said the name is Jill Scott. Okay, or maybe it's just a bad transcription.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Joe Scott. First of all, love the work that y'all do. You guys do such a good job with the podcast. Been listening to y'all for about a year now. This came out of left field, honestly. I did not see this coming. But I knew it was inevitable, right? I mean, he's 31, coming off of a season-ending injury, clearly not a part of the long-term plan. So I knew it was going to happen eventually, but the way it happened was kind of shocking. So the first thing I had to do was just kind of get the emotions out of it because I'm bummed. That 2018 year he had was special. And honestly, he was been really good for us up until last year when he got hurt. But you know what? It made sense as much as it hurts. You kind of had to do this. The Bears aren't doing shit this year anyway. The cap space is not great. Bears have no draft capital at all. And Poles emphasized it. He wanted to build through the draft, and that was, what his key goal was. So he's living by what he said. So you can't get mad at that, honestly. Getting a 6th and a 2nd for this year is not that bad either. Like, I'm glad we got the 2nd for this year. So at least that gives us more picks for this year, at least to get some good talent, especially in this draft class, because there's some good guys you can get in the 2nd round. So having 2 picks is good. Yeah, I mean, it's a long-term, it's a long game. I read somewhere that you're getting $23 million off the books in 2023. That to me is what Poles was looking at. Because this year might be rough, but the amount of cap space we get next year, at least, with him not there anymore, that's going to help build a younger, more dynamic team, investing in the offense and building around Justin, because that's what this all is all about anyway. We've got to build around Justin. If this is going to work, we've got to build around Justin and get guys on offense, offensive lineman, wide receiver, whatever it is. Get a younger, stronger team and, do what you can for the long term. So this hurts. I'm going to miss him. Him on the Chargers is going to be nasty, and that'll be fun to watch. But, yeah, that's kind of it. Love what you do. Keep doing what you're doing. Peace.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. That was a great call.
Great call. Thank you for the words of encouragement. Also, getting your thoughts about it. But I think that's the biggest thing is, and it's crazy, but 2018 is still the most fun I've had as a Bears fan, as an adult.
Oh, for sure.
And it felt like this is it. This is the chance. Seize it, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
You know how we look at the White Sox window? Like even with today, when baseball come back, you know what I'm excited about? We get another crack at that championship. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like a huge fall off. White Sox get another chance. We thought with the Bears, we'd be, all right, another crack at the Lombardi, and it was one and done.
Yeah. And so his year in 2008, he had an immediate impact. His first game, he gets a pick six, he gets a sack, he gets
one of the most incredible
debut games.
Now, granted, it ended terribly.
Yeah,
because I was talking so much shit. My mentions look like when Jon Snow was being run in the Battle of the Bastards at the end of that game. But just his performance was incredible. He was like, that was one of the best defensive years I've ever seen in a Bears uniform.
Mm-hmm. But it ain't 2018 no more.
It's not.
It's 2022. You're heading to the 2022-2023 season.
Life moves fast in the NFL, man.
Life moves fast, period. And so one of the biggest things about life is change.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to sit back and say,
shit, we were just talking about this when we did 79th and Halas Presents, which is dropping next week. We recorded it yesterday.
Finally got it done.
He's like, I don't like change. Here we are, change.
And here we are, it's change.
And this sucks.
And it sucks because you have to sit back with this shit-eating grin on your face like, all right. And your first thing is either you're going to hate on it. This is crap. The Bears, of course. You're going to see some media personalities who they still love the Bears. And so their first thought is going to be, this is crap. Of course the Bears would do this. But I think this is objectively a good thing. Now, bear in mind, the only thing objective in football are championships. And whether that's you win the division.
Honestly, that's the only thing in sports.
The only thing truly objective typically is just winning. So you win a pennant. You win your division, you win a pennant. Those type of things. You win in a division, you win NFC championship, AFC championship, you win a Super Bowl. Those things objectively make you those guys. Even if people say it's a fluke, you have the hardware to back it up. But there are very few things where I think, man, this is objectively good move. Where you look at the Buccaneers, they trade for Tom Brady, they signed him.
Remember,
they signed Tom Brady.
Because he had TB had an option in his contract, he became a free agent.
Yeah. That was objectively a good move.
Yeah.
In hindsight, of course, it's objectively a good move. But you look at that team and you think you have a defense, you got linebackers, cornerbacks, you got receivers, you got a running backs. The only thing that you're missing now is a tight end. Gronk comes back. That's an objectively good move. And I think for the Bears, I don't see how you can give me now, granted, we're still in the realm of subjectivity, but I think it's my personal opinion that this is objectively a good move for the Bears. Now, the haul they got back for it, you can say subjectively whether this was good or not good. They should have got a first. Out of the ilk that I still think you probably could have finessed the first. However, I don't think you would have got a first out of a great team.
If you were going to get a first, you was going to pay some money.
Yeah.
You weren't gonna get both. But when you bring up the Bucks, I want to give you what you just said about how shit moves fast. Yeah, they were contenders for 2 years, won a Super Bowl. Now they back to the ghetto. Back to the ghetto you go. As soon as Tom Brady retired, nothing. Who's your starter? Cal Trask? Like, exactly. It changes that fucking quickly in the NFL. We're not gonna be sitting up here talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this season.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. But they got what they got out of it. They got a championship, and they got it, and that's all. The
move paid off.
The move paid off because the NFL, pretty much like some other sports, basketball, there's a chance for you to win multiple, but football, it just does not happen that often. And so you got to think, was this a good move? And I think this is objectively a good move for them.
And you can look at it from both sides. I know the Chargers look at it like, yeah, we giving up draft capital. We're paying $63 million, but we feel like we're in win now mode, and this is a risk we want to take.
You got receivers,
and to be in a division with all them damn quarterbacks, what do you need?
You need
pass
rushing. Defense. You need defense. You need pass rushers. You need people who are going to get to the quarterback, and who better to have than
Ohio State Buckeye Joey Bosa.
And also,
did you see
Khalil
that picture
Mack.
Somebody tweeted of Bertier and Julius from Remember the Titans? They said that's Khalil and Bosa.
Hilarious. But yeah, it's just it's a part of the game, and I appreciate your call, but yeah, you're gonna have to get the emotions out. But I don't think this is a day that you should feel. There's an old biblical verse that said, "Let us not mourn like those without hope." You should not mourn like you don't have hope right now. Your hope is in Justin Fields and Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus. But you can mourn thinking, well, it was the decision that had to be made. It had to happen. There's an old Justice League. Scott recently bought the Batman the Animated Series box set. He was a real nigga. He'd buy the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited box set.
What's funny? I like Justice League cartoon, but I can't fuck with Clark Kent, bro. I just can't.
Coldest version of Superman. But there's a part in Justice League Unlimited where Superman murders Lex Luthor after Lex Luthor. Did he kill Lois? I can't remember. No, he killed the Flash. And after it happened, Batman goes, well, it had to happen. This is a different version of Batman. They're called the Justice Lords. He's like, well, had to happen. And of course, we're not thinking about something evil right now, but we're thinking about the future of the Bears and their cap and the overall construction of their roster. And you're like, had to happen. And what did we say after the season ended or after Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus got here? It's going to be rough that first year. Don't expect anything from it. Focus on the young players. So right now, focus on the young players, and the old players about to be out of here. That's just the unfiltered truth. The only person who I think is safe, well, I know it has to be safe, is Roquan Smith, because Roquan Smith is young.
I told you, we've been saying it all offseason. Two niggas on this roster who are safe. Justin Fields and Roquan Smith. And also, this opens up the opportunity to give Roquan a fat extension.
Yeah.
Think about that too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you're going to feel bad about I was sick when we traded. This is the sickest I felt about getting rid of a player until we traded Jimmy Butler. Now, obviously, we got
stinks now, nigga. I don't care.
Obviously,
you don't know how to do offense anymore. I'm fine.
No. As obviously right now, I don't give a shit. We got Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
And I think Zach LaVine is better than Jimmy Butler.
I do.
So I won. You know what I'm saying? But at the time, as Pav, we was at a fucking brewery in Long Beach watching the draft. And I was sick.
Yeah.
Eventually you get over it.
Next voicemail.
Hey y'all, it's BRC2 _ just be on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody's feeling the same way. Shocking news came out of nowhere from the top rope, whatever you want to call it. Personally, and I said this on the timeline too, I get it. It's sad, obviously. People are allowed to feel how they want to feel, right? Cool. But we also need to understand that the same amount of love and revere that we had for these players from the old regime are not going to be the same lenses that they use to scout our team to see who they want to use this upcoming season with the new regime. Mm-hmm. So I do think it should have been, maybe Robert Quinn instead of, Khalil Mack. I still believe in Khalil Mack. It's really debatable, though. I kind of get why they did Mack. I mean, he's coming off surgery last year. He's 31, if I'm not mistaken, and he's been nothing but injured since his 2018 season. Again, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not saying this is a knock on Mack or that this is we should have traded him. I'm just saying that I get the idea. I get the business aspect by it. We also got a second-round pick for this year. I think that's pretty good. That means we could definitely use it to get a wide receiver 1 in a draft this year. Now we can maybe allocate our resources to tooling up the offensive line, maybe paying a cornerback, maybe a nickel, maybe a CB2, anything like that. Like the possibility ends us now with the cap space and draft capital. So basically what I'm trying to say is don't jump off the ledge. It sucks, but let's just see it through
and let's wait until August, and then we'll get a firm understanding of how this team looks. There now.
Another good
Well
call.
said. Another great start. A really quick call.
And also, Khalil missed like 3 games in 2018. Also, 3-4 games 2018.
Yeah,
remember the game we went to? He didn't play.
He didn't play.
For my birthday. Remember, him and A-Rob didn't play.
That is true. Yeah, he did not play. But I go over his stats and I go over how many games he's played. And his only really he missed 3 games. He missed 2 games in the season. 2018.
Okay.
He started the game. He started 14, but he left one mid game.
Okay.
But his only season of not actually playing a full 16 was this past season. But
so how much did he miss in 2020?
None.
He missed none in 2020?
He's just playing injured.
He's playing injured though. Yeah.
But I mean, he has not had back-to-back 10+ sack seasons with the Bears. His second season underwhelming in 2020. In 2021, this past season, he was just playing injured. He was playing it this entire year. And so, you're coming off a player who I'm for sure will be a Hall of Famer and will get past that 100 sack mark. And will have the career I think he's going to have. But right now, man's old. He's 30 years old, going on 31 years old. He is an older person. And you have to think about getting this team young. We didn't have a second round. They didn't have a second round pick before this, did they?
No.
They were just in the 3rd round.
No, they had 1 second round pick.
So now you have 2 second round picks.
2. Yeah.
And if you continue to trade, you can find yourself getting up late in that second round. And I think it's important because I think you need to take a run at Chris Olave.
I was about to say, is it Chris Olave time?
Of course, it's so much different to talk about what you would do as NFL GM versus what an actual NFL GM would do. But when you look at these mock drafts that are coming up, you're not seeing Chris Olave come down till late in the second round because there are just too many good players. I'm pretty sure Adam.
It's a deep wide receiver class too. Like it's a deep. If there's one thing that Ryan Pace ever did for me, it was draft Justin Fields because the quarterbacks in this draft stink. Not only just quarterbacks in free agency. Now that Rodgers and Russell off the boards, Mitch is gonna get 10 million. I just want to say this about Mitch. I have no anger towards Mitch. I see a lot of Bears. I got mad at what I read this morning about niggas. He's where Peyton Manning and Ben Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers were in his career. I was like, oh, but when he's with us, it was all jokes. Like the only thing he got in common with them is height. That's it. Like, but as far as Mitch, go rob whatever franchise you want. Get your money. I think
I can see him going to New York. And Daniel Jones is so dog shit terrible that
I text Mariano. I wouldn't wish the Daniel Jones, Mr. Trubisky quarterback room on my worst enemy.
Mr. Trubisky is 10 times better than Daniel Jones.
And that's not saying a lot.
It's not. But Chris Olave for like CBS and NFL, they in ESPN, they have him 26th and 27th. Okay. So he is projected as a late first rounder. And
that 40 time definitely helps his case.
Yeah. And I think having him him and Justin just got that it factor together. This
could be the Burrow Chase connection that we want.
And the funny thing is, it's like, will GM start focusing on getting receivers that they played with in college? And I'm like, they should have did this a long time ago. It's such an important thing. Yeah. It's such an important thing to find someone that they had camaraderie with. Because Garrett Wilson, who was the better, I don't know if he was the more explosive receiver in college, even though I think their stats are pretty similar. Garrett Wilson also played side by side with Chris Olave. This is how much talent the Buckeyes had that they freaking screwed over and didn't win with. But had Garrett Wilson and had Chris Olave next to each other, you're not getting Garrett Wilson. He is a top 15, top 13, top 10 pick, but Chris Olave is still there. So with this extra space, with this second rounder, and with these players you can trade off, you can get yourself into a late first round pick. And if you can't, Chris Olave has to be that person, in my non-professional opinion. But moving on to the next voicemail, it's a little bit shorter.
On you guys, this is Nick at Return of the Night on Twitter. That's NY.
First off, when you all record, don't record like you at sea.
Yeah,
we'll try our best to hear you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not mad at all. That is not going to be competitive for like at least 2 more years. By the time that happens, Matt, Finn, all those guys are going to be on the other side of 30, and they're not going to be worth their contract. So you might as well double off to a team that's ready to win. Chargers now have to face Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes twice a year.
Yeah, they needed help on the defensive line. I'm not mad that they traded for that.
I think I got the gist of what you said.
Yeah, I got the gist of what you said. Like you said, please don't leave messages when it sound like you fixing roofs.
You sound like Gotham right now that's currently flooded, so you need to fix that. But they needed help. I think it's a win-win for both teams. Yeah. They needed help to have more edge rushers on their line, and what better combination to have than Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack? It's a win-win. So no, I agree wholeheartedly with you. We're going to move on though to our next voicemail, which is a familiar voice, and we'll see what he has to say.
Well, it seems as Poles has put his nuts on the table. He's cleaning up all of Ryan Pace's mess. And it starts off with a gut-wrenching move that gets our guy up out of here, man. That's Khalil Mack. That's my boy. It's like we only got a few good seasons out of him, man. I got 2 Khalil Mack jerseys. But it makes sense, man. He shows signs of regression and, being injured last year didn't help. But it just stings. I get it. It's the business. But come on, man. He's the face of our defense. And what I will say is that our offense has to get better. Something has to come from this besides just the cap space. We need offensive playmakers that can produce right away. We've seen flashes of what Justin Fields can do. So our offense gets entirely better. I think our defense holds up. We have to get better at the wide receiver position and just get some good playmakers, man. But, hey, Ryan Poles came in and said, look, this is my team now. So I give him the freedom. All right, peace.
Shout out to homie Lenore.
Shout out to Lenore. Of course, you can tell his voice a mile away.
Shout out to Lenore told me the other day that I'm older than Jesus, which was quite hilarious.
Jesus died at 33, which is
I know.
Which is hilarious to say. But yeah, man, it's
and like you said, not just face the defense, he's facing the franchise. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think one of the best things he highlighted was that you have to do something with this cap space. There have been plenty of times where Ryan Pace freed up cap space
and just spent that.
Phil Emery freed up cap space. Jerry Angelo filled up cap space. Those is all fine and dandy. But now you have to take that free cap space that you have and do something with it. They took on the bulk of that contract, which is going to help you. Now start getting rid of the rest of that dead weight. You got a lot of dead weight, because Allen Robinson isn't signed, right? So he'll go.
Well, we don't know where he's signing. We just know he's not getting tagged by the Bears.
Good. So focus on something else. Like right now, I want them to focus more on offense than your defense. As me and Scott talked about before recently, the game right now is so catered around offenses. As you'll see, the 79th and Halas presents, the game is catered around offenses, and since it's catered around offenses, you need to have a draft situation, a free agency that's focused around getting offensive pieces. I do not care about having this stud person first, on my selection. You need to focus on getting a better offensive line. I think your really only bright spots in the offensive line is probably James Daniels, Borum, and Jenkins. I'm not sure about Whitehair. I don't know who the center is. It's definitely not going to be Mustafa.
But as you bring up cap space, there's a tweet that just came out. The Bears now have the 7th most available cap space in the NFL.
It's big time. Yeah. It's time to make it work, and that's extensions come into play. So it's a lot of stuff that comes into play with this cap space, and it just can't be we have cap space to have cap space, or they have cap space to have cap space. Going into our last voicemail.
Hey, fellas, first time, long time. Aiden from down in Louisville. I'm calling because my man Khalil Mack is gone, man. He's probably my favorite Bear in recent memory. Sad to see him go, but it needed to happen. I was pissed at first when Schefter tweeted out that it was going to be a second-round pick in 2023. So I was all types of mad, but then when he corrected it and said it's for this year, it made sense. Like I said, I'm more sad than I am mad. But, in polls we trust. We got to build around Justin, get a couple weapons for him. It's a new era. But you guys keep up the good work. Love listening to y'all. Follow y'all on Twitter. Bear down.
First off, we got people supporters in Louisville, which is just so dope to me.
Shout out to everybody, man.
Shout out to everybody across the United States who listen to us.
Across America.
Across America who listen to us and support us. Shout out to you, Aiden, if I believe that's the name you said, for listening to it and supporting you. But I'm glad that everybody who's calling in
has been rational.
Is rational right now, because there's one thing Bears fans don't do is
be
rationalize
or think about the long game.
Yeah, right now everybody's like, yeah, it sucks, but kind of had to happen. You knew it was time. You know,
and I think it was pretty rational in our mentions too. When I tweeted the question out too, we had a couple people who like fire pose, but I'll say it's about 95. I think about 95% rational even in our mentions too.
Which shows you that the Bears did a good move right now, and that helps the perception of the team. Because if it's one thing the Bears have lost over recent years, it's good public image. People started to literally hate Ryan Pace. Yeah. Now it's stupid, and I don't agree with them hating these people because, of course,
like I said, Ryan Pace was a cool guy. Everybody called me Scott McCaskey when I said that earlier this season.
But like you said, I think even if the fans were to sit down with Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, these are cool.
You would have a beer with Matt Nagy.
You'd have a beer with Matt
100%.
Nagy. You do Pilates with Ryan Pace because he was swole. Like, you know what I'm saying? You would like these people as people, and I think they're doing a job. They didn't do a good job at it, but I don't advocate hating them. It's just stupid, especially because of the good people that they are. But
Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. Take your hate on somebody else. They get hate on somebody who is an anti-vaxxer, but
somebody who mother doesn't know level.
But don't sit there and hate these people out here. Don't hate anybody. Don't hate Aaron Rodgers either. Scott's gonna disagree, but don't hate anybody. These are just people doing their job. Aaron Rodgers, if he were to play with the Bears, you'd love him regardless of his stance on anything.
If this was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
Very true, but it's just a job, and of course, their job is the public running of a team, of a professional sports team that you happen to love. And unfortunately, this is the result of it. Sometimes they don't do it and sometimes they do it, but this was the right move. This is undoubtedly the right move. I think Bears fans just have to now have their focus on who the Bears will acquire in the draft. Me and Scott are probably going to go cover the NFL draft. We haven't made a final decision.
We're mulling over it.
We're mulling over it because we can go if we want. We just have to think, do we want to do it? Because draft is 3 days. So, if we cover the draft, we're going to be in that joint. And that's a long time. But at the same time, it's an important thing. And so we're mulling over doing that. But what you can do as a Bears fan is have yourself focused on who the Bears will get. You're not the general manager. You're not the coach, but you're still a part of the franchise because you're the fans. The fans, the players move it. But I think the foundation of every good team is the fans. If the fans support you, you can go so far. Look at the Patriots. Bill Belichick has you all's heart. And so when you got Mac Jones, everybody said, well, I trust Bill. And lo and behold, what did Bill Belichick do? Mac Jones looks like the best rookie quarterback that was selected. You know what I mean? That's what good public perception and a good relationship between the fans and the actual personnel of the team does. And so the Bears have to repair that disconnect, because this is where the Patriots are. This is where the Bears are in comparison between fans and the actual team. The Bears have to mend that wound and bring this together. So now that when the Bears make a move, you think, okay, I don't understand it, but I trust it. You know what I'm saying? It's the same with Mike Tomlin and the Steelers organization. You I trust it. People said, oh, man, they're going to try to trade for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's a nasty nigga, but your first thought is, okay, let's do it. But that's what the Bears need to get to. You need to have that perception. And once you have that perception done, now you can start focusing. Well, it's a, sort of a multi-layered thing that you do from all angles, and it's not something you take at a time. But you're looking at, okay, now we're going to focus on getting this public perception done by making good moves. And more than anything, public perception works. Public perception gets better when your team works.
Yeah. And
like we said, since this is an emergency pod and we're not sure when we'll have a regular pod after this.
Well, we'll have a pod after free agency wraps up.
Free agency in the draft.
Yeah.
But don't expect this to be a season where they're getting like 8 wins. It ain't going to happen. It's going to stink. Now, if Justin takes off,
if Justin takes off, they're not going to be ass.
No.
But they'll be what they were last year. Except the games, hopefully, it'll be easier to watch because we're not watching a god-awful offense.
You're like, man.
I'm saying
this team dropped 50 on us, but we scored 48.
If Justin makes a nice jump, I say 6 to 8 win range. And that's just, I don't know what the roster is going to look like. I'm just saying 6 to 8 wins.
You don't know.
By the way, the Bears had updated Bears draft. Bears have 6 draft picks this year. The first second rounder is a 39th overall. Second rounder is the one we got.
Because 32 picks. So what is that? That's the 7th pick of the second round?
Yeah. So the 39th pick overall in the second round. Then we got the 48th overall in the second round, which is one we got from the Chargers. In the third round, we got the number 71 overall. 5th round is 147, which we got from Houston. Another 5th rounder, which is 149 overall, and then the 6th rounder, which is number 184 overall.
Yeah.
So 6 picks.
I think right now the Bears should do their best to get a first. And I don't think you should do it at the cost of other draft picks. I think it should be strictly, we're trading. You might have to package 2 players. You might have to send Eddie Jackson and Robert Quinn somewhere. Eddie Jackson, Eddie Goldman. But you package some players, get yourself in the first reasonably. But this is why I'm not a GM, so I can't give like advice like I know how to properly structure this. But the Bears' focus should be getting back in the first. That's where you will find the biggest talent pool, and receiver is one of those primary pools. So, and
the Bears will have $121 million in cap space in 2023.
That's the biggest thing. You know what I'm saying? And especially, I think the Bears have done it right for the first time with their general manager.
And that's when we said, do it right.
Yeah. Give Ryan Poles all the tools. Give Matt Eberflus a GM who's going to give him the space and the players to do it with, and make sure that they're collaborating, as Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy used to say. But make sure they're collaborating correctly. And I think they're doing it. There's really nothing more that needs to be said about this, man. I'm gonna miss seeing Khalil Mack on the field. I think some of my best interactions, my first and second year covering the Bears, were with Khalil Mack. I think me and Khalil Mack had a good rapport because Khalil Mack's, answers were always, man, we gotta go ahead and get the player going. We just gonna get him, go back and play best football and do the That was typically how he responded. But when me and him connected, the same with Herb. Of the Bigs, Herb Howard of the Bigs, we would have a good rapport, and so I'm going to miss talking to him.
That's an excellent Khalil Mack impersonation.
That's just how you talk. Man,
we play better football, baby.
You go play better football.
And I'm not unfollowing Khalil on Instagram.
Not happening. It's
not happening.
It's a tradition I usually do. I'm not doing it.
I have a painting of Khalil Mack in my room that's right next to Kobe Bryant, and it's not coming down.
I am going to send this jersey to Goodwill, though. It just has to happen. Some young Bears fan will want it, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, man, Bears fans, mourn it. It's sad, but change has to happen for good things to happen. Let's just hope, because I'm not going to champion anybody. That Ryan Poles.
I told you, Ryan Poles and Eberflus on the clock. I said we gave them. Okay, that was a nice press conference. It's time to go to work.
Press conferences ain't enough. I want to see what you're going to do.
Don't win championships.
They don't.
I want a parade downtown Chicago in 0-degree weather while I'm drunk and cold.
Exactly.
But I'm not really cold because I'm so fucking drunk.
Exactly.
So if this gets us one step closer to it, do what you got to do, man.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this was our emergency pod, 79th and Halas.
We'll be dropping the same day as we recorded this.
I'm literally about to edit this right now. So you should hear this.
So if you see us with the same thing in the summer sessions video later, it was the same day. Fuck off.
Just understand that. I'm Joe. That's Scott. Follow us at Looney Barbershop Scott on Twitter, 79th and Halas on Twitter, Barbershop.net on Twitter. The website will be back up soon when Scott gets it all figured out. So yeah, we'd like to thank you all, and we will catch you all
after free agency.